Today on Playmakers, the number 14 ranked Kansas volleyball team looked to keep its home winning streak alive last night in a matchup against West Virginia. On senior night at Rock Chalk Park, Kansas soccer defeated K-State 2-1 in the Sunflower Showdown. Junior Raina Childers and freshman Jocelyn Harema both scored goals in the match to lift the Jayhawks to a win over their in-state foe. Kansas football will kick off its 111th homecoming in the national spotlight as they take on number 6 Oklahoma at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Fox's Big Noon Kickoff will make its first appearance in Lawrence as the pregame show hosted by Rob Stone previews the day's top games. I'm Tyler DiDomenico, and welcome back to Playmakers. One thing Jayhawk fans have been speculating about during the bye week is the health of junior quarterback Jalen Daniels. Daniels has been nursing a back injury since the start of fall camp and has only played 3 games for the Jayhawks this season. Head coach Lance Leipold has given sporadic updates on Daniels' health and has since said that Daniels is doubtful for tomorrow's clash with Oklahoma. This means senior quarterback Jason Bean will start his 4th straight game on Saturday. David Booth Kansas Memorial Stadium will once again be sold out for tomorrow's homecoming game. The Jayhawks didn't have a single sellout between 2010 and 2018. They now have 5 under the guidance of Lance Leipold. Kansas volleyball kept its home winning streak alive last night in a matchup against West Virginia. Jaden was in attendance and has more on the matchup.
That's right, Tyler. Last night, KU volleyball showed up ready to play against West Virginia. As junior Aya El Nadi said,
I think all of us had a lot of energy. We just said we're just gonna go out there and compete as hard as we can.
West Virginia had just come off of a 3-game winning streak, ready to put KU's skills to the test. You could not have asked for a better night. Between the fans and the sellout energy on the court, it was not a game to miss. Even coach Lance Leipold was in attendance. In set 1, Kansas defeated the Mountaineers 25-17. The Jayhawks took the lead from the start with a kill by London Davis. The two teams were neck and neck during the first set, staying within 3 points of each other. Halfway through the set, an ace from Katie Dalton changed the tide of the game. The energy surge on the court propelled Jayhawks on a run, taking the lead with them. Coach Lance Leipold wasn't the only celebrity in attendance last night. Reagan Burns, the Big 12 Rookie of the Week, showed fans exactly why she had been picked. She was crucial in receiving high-velocity hits from West Virginia and saving quite a few runaway balls as well. The Jayhawks finished out the set with a substantial lead all the way to the end. Set 2 brought further success to Kansas. Starting off strong, Reagan Cooper scored the first point with a kill. Virginia didn't stand a chance against the dynamic duo of Reagan Cooper and Aya El Nadi. Together, they had 23 kills, dominating the Mountaineers' defense. Once again, Kansas led the game, finally pulling out a breach in the second half of the set. The set ended 25-15 Kansas. The third set was par for the course. West Virginia, worn down from the prior 2 sets, had trouble getting a foothold. With the low-pressure environment, Coach Burchard was able to put in some players. This is what he had to say in the postgame.
It was good to use our bench a little bit and see them contribute.
Even with the rotation of less experienced players, Kansas stayed on top, winning the third and final set 25-19. It was a big win for Kansas last night, and hopefully the success will continue. Tonight at 6:30 in the Horsch Family Volleyball Arena, Kansas will once again face West Virginia. With the excitement from last night, I can only imagine how much fun the game will be tonight. That's all I have. Thanks, Tyler.
The Kansas soccer team finished its season on a high note Tuesday with a win against K-State in the Sunflower Showdown. Brody Sullivan was there to catch what would be the final moments of head coach Mark Francis' career.
The Kansas women's soccer team has struggled throughout the season, but on Monday night at Rock Chalk Park, they were able to end their season in a positive way. On senior night, the Jayhawks took down rival Kansas State 2-1. 7 seniors were recognized prior to the match. The Jayhawks got off to a quick start by scoring 10 minutes into the match. Junior midfielder Raina Childers slid it past the Wildcats goalkeeper after a great ball from senior forward Shira Elenov.
I just remember yelling Shira's name, Shira, turn! And then she looked at me, played it, and then I just gave it all my body and just slid in there and shot it.
This was the first goal for the Jayhawks in 4 games and only their 4th goal in Big 12 play.
Our sport can be a beautiful game, but it can also be pretty brutal when you can dominate games and not score and not win the game, and we've had quite a few of those this year.
This game was different, however. The Jayhawks were able to break through once again in the 76th minute. This time it was freshman midfielder Jocelyn Herrera, who stole a pass and slid a shot into the bottom left corner for the first goal of her career. Herrera was named Big 12 Freshman of the Week for her performance. The final whistle blew, and the season was over for the Jayhawks and their coach Mark Francis, who announced his retirement the following day. Francis spent 25 years as head coach at Kansas. The search for a new coach will begin immediately, which brings more questions about what the future holds for the squad. Only one senior is using their extra year of eligibility to stay with the program, and some players could transfer after the announcement of Francis retiring. Making the right hire will be important for the future of the team as they try to keep their young talent around the program, and that will be something to keep our eye on during the offseason as they try to rebuild after a disappointing season. For Playmakers, I'm Brody Sullivan.
The Kansas swim and dive team concluded the last of its three-meet home stretch at Robinson Natatorium on Saturday. Lindsay has more on the action.
Okay, your mark.
The Kansas swim and dive team competed with Lindenwood and South Dakota at home this past weekend in Robinson Natatorium. Claudia Dugan, Caroline Blake, Kayla Brown, and Lauren Collins competed in the 200-meter freestyle, where they took home first place for the Jayhawks with a time of 4:30.46. However, the weekend did not stop for Caroline Blake. She took first place in the 100-meter freestyle, recording a time of 52.98. The Jayhawks continued to put their foot on the pedal throughout the weekend, with Leslie Sue Song finishing first in the 200-yard backstroke and Lydia Lafferty winning the 100-yard butterfly. Overall, the Kansas swim team took home the crown on both days with a score of 692, 412.5 on Friday, and 248, 104 on Saturday. The Jayhawks' next meet will take place in Lincoln, Nebraska, where they will take on the Cornhuskers on Friday at 4 o'clock. For Playmakers, I'm Lindsay Ryan.
After a much-needed bye week, the Kansas Jayhawks return to the booth and will host Oklahoma for their homecoming game. Lauren is here to get you up to speed on all you need to know for tomorrow's game.
Thank you, Tyler. Oklahoma is currently undefeated 7-0 and first in the Big 12. The Jayhawks, on the other hand, are coming off their bye week at 5-2 and currently sit 6th in the conference. The biggest storyline for this game is the announcement of Jason Bean starting at the quarterback position, with Jalen Daniels still ruled out as he continues to deal with back tightness. The Sooners will definitely have their starting quarterback in Dylan Gabriel, who comes into this game with over 2,100 passing yards. On the other side, Daniel and Beans for the Jayhawks combined for over 1,600 passing yards. If the Jayhawks want to get past this Oklahoma defense, they will have to use both their running backs and receivers as weapons. The Sooners' defense is only allowing 14 points per game this year, which ranks 7th best in the nation. We've seen the Jayhawks have a 399-yard run game and a 410 receiving yard game, but never one that has excelled in both areas. Devin Neal is looking to take care of the run game and outperform the Sooners running back Marcus Major. Neal holds the advantage with double the carry yards this year, but has also seen help from his running back core, including Daniel Highshaw Jr., who has over 400 rushing yards, and Dylan McDuffie with 180 on the year. Jason Bean is coming off his best game against Oklahoma State with 23 completions and 5 touchdowns. He's been able to connect to all of his receivers, including Lawrence Arnold, Quentin Skinner, and Mason Fairchild, who all three combined for just shy of half of the team's total receiving yards. On the other hand, Kansas' defense hasn't been the most productive, as opposing teams are averaging over 27 points per game. If the line can stop this Sooners offense and safety Kenny Logan Jr. and cornerback Kobe Bryant can be productive, the Jayhawks will stand a chance despite the Sooners projected as a 9.5-point favorite. What's on the line for the Jayhawks? They are one win away from becoming bowl eligible and look to beat the Sooners for the first time in 18 years. With the extra week of preparation, I'm going to give Kansas the edge on this one. Tyler, back to you.
Thanks, Lauren. This will certainly be one of the biggest tests of the year for the Jayhawks. We will see if they're up for it. Up next, we took a look into the pro sports sphere with some breaking news. Houston Astros manager Dusty Baker announced his retirement at a press conference on Thursday. Baker said he started thinking about retirement last winter and made up his mind in the summer. Baker retires with a 26-year managerial record of 2,183 wins and 1,862 losses, with 3 pennants and a championship title. Only Connie Mack, Tony La Russa, John McGraw, Bobby Cox, Joe Torre, and Sparky Anderson have won more games as a manager. Game 1 of the World Series is taking place tonight in Arlington, Texas. After beating the Houston Astros in Game 7 Monday night, the Texas Rangers will face the Arizona Diamondbacks in this year's Fall Classic. Barry is here to get you ready for the matchup.
The World Series is here, and it's the Texas Rangers and Arizona Diamondbacks facing off for all the marbles. The Rangers are one of 6 teams that haven't hoisted the Commissioner Trophy. They are also the oldest MLB franchise without the title and look to snap the drought. Texas Rangers manager Bruce Bochy has named Nathan Eovaldi the starting pitcher for Game 1. He's going against Diamondback pitcher Zach Gallen. Despite the D-backs winning the head-to-head series in the regular season 3-1, the odds are all still in favor for the Rangers to win the series. 2 wild-card teams are facing off in the World Series for the first time since 2014. The D-backs were 6 games above 500 in the regular season, finishing second in the NL West. In the playoff, Snakes swept the Brewers in the wild card, swept the Dodgers in the first round, and squeezed past the Philadelphia Phillies in 7 games. The star of the playoffs have been Texas. Thus far has been Adolis Garcia. He has 4 straight games with the home run and boasts a .750 slugging percentage in the postseason. The craziest part is that Garcia hasn't walked once this whole time. NLCS MVP Ketel Marte leads the Arizona lineup with 32 total bases this postseason. However, the D-backs bullpen has been the real MVP. Closer Paul Sewald is rocking a 0 ERA with 6 saves and 8 innings pitched. Baseball fans across the nation will tune in for Game 1 tonight at 7 p.m. Tyler, back to you.
Thanks, Barry. An unlikely matchup that we are absolutely here for nonetheless. NFL fines have been piling on top of each other more than usual recently. Lily is here to tell you why.
One of the more perplexing and misunderstood aspects of the National Football League is the definition and enforcement of its fining system. To their credit, both the NFL and the Commissioner Roger Goodell have made efforts to educate the public on the setup structure. A clear fine schedule that includes minimum fines for the first and second offenses of a number of infractions. However, most still remain in the dark on how the system operates. Certainly, at least part of that reality results from the inconsistencies in the fine enforcement from the Commissioner's office. Now, despite the fine schedule, the NFL still fines players different amounts for the same infraction. Most of the fines are self-explanatory, such as roughing the passer, face mask, and the horse collar tackle. Others need a better explanation for why they are being considered in the fine system. For example, socks have been historically the biggest issue, with many offenders either wearing theirs too high or too low. The NFL hasn't been shy in enforcing rules on sock length. Miami Dolphins star wide receiver Tyreek Hill said that the NFL fined him $7,000 for not wearing socks during the team's 70-20 win over the Denver Broncos in Week 3. Hill explained why he wasn't wearing any socks, saying, quote, "I was getting an IV and didn't want to be late for the play, so I didn't have time to put on my socks." In 2022, the NFL racked up more than $14.5 million in fines and suspension through 12 weeks, which was nearly double since the 2021 season total of just over $7 million. According to the league, there were 2,468 plays run in Week 1 of the 2023 season, with 32 fines being handed out, which means a total of 1.3% of plays led to a fine. The fines collected are donated to the Professional Athletes Foundation to support leagues in the NFL and the NFL Foundation to further support health, safety, and wellness of athletes across all levels, including youth football and the communities that support the game. As noted on the NFL operations website, since 2011, about $4 million a year has been used to support worthy causes. It is unclear whether the remainder of the money goes considering the league averages for the fines per season far surpasses $4 million. The set fine schedule has made it much easier to understand why a certain amount is being tied to a certain infraction. But the NFL still frequently decides to venture outside that schedule to levy fines upon its players.
Such inconsistencies make it difficult to understand the difference between a $21,000 fine for a helmet-to-helmet and another that costs a player up to $41,000. Until these problems are solved and the system becomes more transparent, the NFL will continue to struggle with the perception of its fining process. Back to you, Tyler.
Great stuff, Lily. After the break, we are back with a frozen edition of Roundtable.
Welcome back to Roundtable with Reed, and welcome back Blake Sevenbergen, and Richie Obaid, welcome back to you too. You're just a little bit less important because Blake's back for the first time this year. Speaking of another first time, we're talking hockey on Roundtable with Reed. We've got 3 very important awards and 3 very important debates. Get us started with the MVP. Blake, you're taking Alex DeBrincat of the Detroit Red Wings. He's the NHL leader in goals, but tell me how he can keep this going for Detroit this year.
Yeah, 9 goals in 7 games for that guy. That's pretty solid. You know, this is a guy that's played very well this year. He also has 4 assists, 13 points in 7 games. That's something that you like to see. The Red Wings have had a hot start to the year. If the Red Wings continue to play well, I think it will be because of Alex DeBrincat. So if that happens, keep an eye out for him.
Throw him on a line with speed threat Dylan Larkin, and things have really taken off in Detroit. But someone who we thought we would leave in the offseason but is staying with Toronto for maybe one more go-around, Austin Matthews. Richie, that's your pick for MVP. Tell me why.
Give me Mustache Man, the best goal scorer in the NHL. He started the season with 2 straight hat tricks back-to-back. Some players wish they can score a hat trick. This guy's doing it in the first 2 games. Best goal scorer. He's going to break his 60-goal record that he put on earlier. Over 100 points. McDavid's hurt right now. It's only better for Matthews.
And that's why I still have Connor McDavid as my MVP, and, well, because he's the best player in the league. He plays on the best line in the NHL with Zach Hyman and Leon Draisaitl. He is the best player in the league, hands down, bar none. But, Blake, another guy named Connor for your Rookie of the Year. Tell me all about Connor Bedard.
Well, welcome to the Bedard Show, ladies and gentlemen. It's here. It's awesome. It's amazing. It's my favorite thing in the world. The only problem is that he hasn't produced a ton yet. I mean, he has 22 shots through 7 games, but that's only translated to 2 goals and 2 assists. So the numbers aren't necessarily there yet, but you know it's gonna happen at some point. It started to click. He had a goal against Vegas last night, but they disallowed it. But he's gonna start coming around. Look out. He's only 18. He's a rookie, number 1 overall pick. It's his award to lose.
It's the way he creates space for others. But in terms of producing, Richie and I are both going with the Minnesota man, Logan Cooley.
Boys, it's the Cooley Show.
It's the Cooley Show.
All right,
in Arizona.
listen.
The Desert Dogs are humming.
I love slept on underdogs. All right, he's produced more than Bedard so far with less pressure. He's gonna thrive in Arizona in the desert.
And less ice time.
Less ice time. He has less pressure on him. He's just gonna go out there in the desert and have fun. That's what he's gonna do. He's a playmaker. He hasn't scored his first goal yet, but once he does, I feel it's gonna be an onslaught.
But he just, once one comes, they all go for that
all
guy,
go
especially
in.
with Minnesota last year. They were very streaky like that. Vezina, that's the best goaltender for those at home. Blake, you're going with Alexander Georgiev of the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, he's currently on pace to go 82-0 this season in net. He's 6-0 so far this year.
It's pretty good.
He's got a 198 goals against average, which is pretty good. I mean, he's undefeated, so obviously it's decent. .93 save percentage, which is it's 11th in the NHL, but he's played 2 or 3 more games than every other guy ahead of him on the list. It helps having the defense that Colorado has in front of him.
Exactly.
But he's playing very well, and if it continues, there's no way he doesn't have a chance at this.
Exactly, and you mentioned it, the second best defenseman in the NHL, and Cale Makar in front of him. And Richie, no surprise, you're going with Ilya Sorokin of the New York Islanders.
Listen, I might be a little biased. I'm an Isles fan, but Sorokin's unbelievable. If it wasn't for the Bruins basically breaking every single record last year, he would have beat Olmark last year. I think Sorokin gets it done. He's the only reason why my Isles are ever competitive. I think he gets it done. He's had a few mishaps so far in the season, but he already shut out the Coyotes, we talked about earlier. He led the league last year in shutouts. I think he's going to do the same this year. Give him the award now.
I'm taking Jake Ottinger, someone who kind of flies under the radar because Dallas has all those stars, Heiskanen, Hintz, Robertson. They have all those guys, but Jake Ottinger really flies under the radar, and that's why I think he and the Stars could have a big year this year. They're already off to a good start, including Jake Ottinger. That's going to wrap it up for Roundtable with Reed. We'll send it back to Tyler.
Great stuff, guys. Being from Chicago, I second the fact that I am so here for the Connor Bedard Show. The NBA season kicked off this week, and Carson is here to break down some film from the reigning champs.
Thanks, Tyler. I'm going to be highlighting the Denver Nuggets win on Tuesday night against the Los Angeles Lakers, and I'm going to be showing you why I think they have a wonderful chance to go back-to-back. Something I love about the Nuggets is how unselfish they play. Look here in the bottom corner, as you see Jamal Murray is not even calling for the ball as he wants Aaron Gordon to pass it over here to MPJ. When this happens, Aaron Gordon is going to drive to the basket, which leads the Los Angeles Lakers turned with their backs completely away from the basket, and Michael Porter Jr. has a perfect cut, which leads to a wide-open dunk. The Nuggets need to keep sharing the ball like this, and it could lead to a great chance. Come over to this side. How can we not talk about the Denver Nuggets without highlighting Nikola Jokic? Nikola Jokic is the reigning Finals MVP, and he is by far the best player in the NBA. When he drives to the basket, it causes all the Lakers to collapse, which could lead to an opportunity to kick it out to Christian Brown. But even with that, Jokic still finds a way to put it up and gets the and one over one of the best defensive players in the NBA. Moving back over here, I'd like to highlight Peyton Watson's defense. I think defense is an underrated aspect of the Denver Nuggets, and a young stud like this is exactly why. Watch Peyton right here. He's going to run around the entire court throughout the play just to eventually lead to a swat. Let's check it out. See how Peyton's running across everyone, hustling just so he can get the play, and it all leads to this one big block. Momentum like that on both ends of the court is the reason why I think the Denver Nuggets are going to have a great chance to go back-to-back.
Wonderful stuff, Carson. Those Nuggets really have a shot to go back-to-back. Staying on the topic of NBA, we have a little debate for you guys on load management. Take it away, gentlemen.
Thank you, Tyler. Today I'm joined with Case for a debate on NBA load management. Now, this season there are some new rules in place for the topic of trying to counteract load management in the NBA. Commissioner Adam Silver announces that teams cannot rest more than one of their stars in each game, and you cannot rest your star players on nationally televised games. Players will not be eligible for postseason awards if they do not complete at least 65 of their team's regular season games. And it comes with a whole bunch of fines. We got hundreds of thousands of dollars and over millions of dollars in fines if teams do not follow these rules. The goals being get the players on the court so more people can see them. Case, what do you think?
Well, I think that ultimately the fans go to watch the players play the game. And whenever you talk about NBA stars such as Kawhi Leonard, who have missed 221 games, not counting this last season, due to load management, then...
Okay. Well, that's not... He didn't miss all those games due to load management. He missed those games because he was recovering from serious ACL and Achilles injuries.
I don't know about that.
Of course, well, he's having to load manage because he hurt his leg. You're not going to trot him out there after tearing his... He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not, doing all sorts of Eastern medicine to try and get back on the court. He's out there and he's trying to rest his body. And when it comes to the modern NBA, these athletes like Kawhi Leonard are so incredibly talented and fast and twitchy that it's different than like previous years in the NBA where players could keep on.
Chad, I don't agree with that at all. Honestly, it comes down to the impact in the team record as well. Whenever you have a team such as the Clippers who have all-star talent with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and Terrence Mann, they should be making the playoffs. Overall, no questions, nothing about it.
Okay, the playoffs, sure. What's more important to you, regular season games in October or playoff games in June? And that's what they're doing with these NBA players when they're load managing throughout the year. We saw LeBron James 2 nights ago. He played 29 minutes. Are you going to want to watch LeBron play 29 minutes for more games during the regular season, or would you rather see LeBron play 36 minutes, give it his 100%, and then be able to play in the finals at full effort and do the same thing?
I completely disagree, honestly, because you have to get to the postseason first. These players need to get there.
That's not the NBA's fault that Kawhi Leonard and Paul George can't stay healthy.
But it's ultimately the team's fault that these players aren't playing because they are scared of a knee injury that's possibly going to happen.
Oh, God. Case, I like what you're having to say. I really do. One guy that you won't see taking any days off, though, is our host, Tyler DiDomenico. So I say that we wrap up this debate and head back to Tyler so you can close out the show.
I think I might have to go with Case on this one. Both solid points, though. That's all for this week's edition of Playmakers. Be sure to follow us on social media at PlaymakersKU to find all of our content on the sports world as we see it. And remember, it's not about the game you played, but the plays you made. Rock chalk and see you next time.